First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. If you've had a chance to read them.
Move to approve.
Motion. Second. First and second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none. So I have one here to sign, Melissa.
Yes, I'll bring, oh, okay, I was gonna say I have a copy for you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Financial report for May. Balances are as of May 28th. We did receive some increment, as you can see, in March and April. And actually last Friday, I received a small increment that's not reflected in the balance as well. The changes from our last meeting in March was the loan payments were made. That's why the balances dropped down relative to the downtown balance dropped relative to its payment. Any questions on the financials? Okay, we'll move forward to downtown streets. Amanda, good morning.
Good morning. Great to see you all again.
You as well.
So Downtown Streets project is near final completion. Substantial completion date was achieved on time, and they are just wrapping up some final punch list items this week, and it'll be completed on June 5th. So I think hopefully you've had a chance to go downtown and check it out. Everything seems to be in order. I think ultimately the contractor did a really great job, and really want to thank all of the businesses and everyone for being so patient throughout the entire project, as well as our staff. So the project, we are still reconciling final costs. We still have engineering and consultant invoices to get in, as well as the final pay application with the contractor. But all indication is that we are well under budget. So
that's good.
Really pleased with our team for that. Yeah, absolutely.
It looks really good down there.
Yeah, it does.
Thanks. I'll pass that on.
Getting fabulous comments.
Oh, good. That's great to hear, Marilyn. And I don't know if all of you have met Dan Taddick, our city engineer. I had him join us today. He was the project manager, or is the project manager for us on that job. So he was boots on the ground every single day and really helping to make sure that the contractor met their milestones and that we were able to work through all of the issues in a positive manner. So I thought it would be good to have him in case you had any additional questions.
Any questions for Dan? Good morning, Dan.
Did we end up with more parking, same or less?
Yep.
You want to flip that up down, and that microphone over there doesn't look like Andrew's.
Oh,
that will work.
Thanks, Melissa.
Yeah, good morning. We overall, I think it was pretty much a wash in parking. I don't think many were increased. We took what our consultants produced and actually squeezed in a few more. We turned a few compact spots into full parking spaces. We tried to utilize any available real estate for motorcycle parking if we could. So we really tried to optimize that with the layout downtown you see now.
the stop sign will stay at Main?
Yes.
Okay.
And we've also got stop and thermoplastic on the ground to give a even heightened awareness for those motorists that may not be familiar with that. So
I've seen people roll through it. I was one of them one time.
Yeah. Yeah, my office is right on the corner, so I see that intersection, and yeah, it'll take a while.
Yep.
like anything new, right?
Yes, sir. Yep. It does look nice.
Yep.
And the turn lane on by the Columbia Bank building is also a nice addition as well. So
Good.
Before you get on to 5th.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Any other questions on the downtown streets? Perfect. Great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That includes downtown engineering, I guess, as well. Amanda and Dan. Okay. Any other questions or comments on downtown for Dan and Amanda at this time?
There wasn't a incentive for getting it done by when the loss in the 50s would have been, was there?
No, that was the original substantial completion date.
Okay.
The incentive was only an early completion date.
Okay. And then obviously, without loss in the 50s, did they still hit that date regardless?
They did.
So,
Yep. they were still substantially complete by that date and meeting their final completion date as well.
Nice.
So we didn't have a single change on the project that impacted time.
So are there guarantees or like on the road surface like the temporary one, we had some soft areas that sunk or whatever happened. There's been this layover, of course. Guarantee of work like in a year or so, if that happens, if the contractor come back in?
It's a year warranty, yes.
1 year? Okay. Any other questions? Perfect, thanks. Move on to Northern. Amanda.
So Northern, we have released a request for qualifications for consultants to assist us with the preliminary engineering as we've previously discussed. So those proposals are due June 18th, and we anticipate going to council at the first meeting in July 1st, for a contract award. And then we'll issue a notice to proceed immediately following that. So look forward to.
Update us on, again, what the pre-engineering is for?
Absolutely. So the pre-engineering is really taking a look at the previous feasibility study was in 2005, as you may recall, and it estimated potential cost as well as improvements for the entire length of Great Northern from Baldy all the way to Woodland. Since it's been about 15 years since that was done, we're taking a closer look at really what would be the solutions for Great Northern, not only from a roadway perspective. It is substandard not only from a width, but also from just an overall roadway section perspective, as well as pedestrian accommodations, bicycle accommodations, and then fundamentally drainage. So we have, as everyone in the community that's driven down Great Northern is aware, we have some substantial drainage issues in that corridor. And so kind of combining the roadway improvements with stormwater improvements, I think will ultimately provide additional capacity on the east side of Great Northern for development. So areas that are inundated with water at this time, hopefully these improvements will relieve some of that in a positive manner and provide opportunity for growth in the industrial area. And then also help from a safety perspective. Sorry, that's the other big component.
Any progress with the railroads? I mean, since they're going to benefit from much of this consulting and engineering work?
Yeah, I would say at a very high level, we've had preliminary conversations with them, letting them know that we're anticipating doing this preliminary engineering and that we would love for them to have a seat at the table. They're very willing to do so. We have so far a great relationship with them. I anticipate once we select a consultant, we'll have a kickoff meeting and BNSF will certainly be at the table. There's multiple crossings, there's multiple drainage issues associated kind of with their tracks. And you're absolutely right. They have a vested interest in seeing a positive outcome at that as well.
There could be financial support from the railroad in the project?
Potentially. We haven't gotten into that level of detail with them.
Because if you drain that your side, it will benefit their side.
Right. Yep. I think it benefits everybody along that corridor to improve drainage. I agree.
Right-of-way issues with the railroad?
I wouldn't say we have right-of-way issues with the railroad. We have confirmed our own right-of-way limits, which obviously border theirs. So our right-of-way is substantially more on the west side of the edge of the pavement on Great Northern than what we originally were aware, which is kind of nice because I think as we get into the weeds of things, we'll be able to determine just how much, if any, property acquisition we would need to have on the east side of Great Northern. Throughout the years, anytime someone was developing, we would try to get a little bit of additional right-of-way along that corridor to accommodate it. But the ultimate goal is about a 70-foot wide right-of-way, and we're sitting at 50 right now. So one way or another, we got to make up that 20 additional feet throughout the corridor. And the other primary improvements that we're going to focus on through the preliminary engineering are the intersections. And that's what I meant by the safety improvements. So Baldy and Great Northern it's obviously a very tricky intersection. It doesn't really have site visibility. It doesn't meet any engineering standard. And so taking a close look at that and the preliminary engineering gets plans to about a 30% complete milestone. And that helps us dial in and feel more confident about our costs to date so that then we can have, the conversation about how do we want to move forward? How much do we want to fund? And, in what phased approach would be the most economical and accomplish in a timely manner what we would like to. So.
Is there still a housing project going on the end of Great Northern and Woodland? Is that Woodland?
There is, yes. We received an application for a development in that area for about 142 units.
So that's part of the perceived need of really spending the money on Great Northern. Is that traffic count from that project-ish?
No, I would say the growth, I mean, that is one component of the need to continue to improve the corridor, but I think we fundamentally have safety concerns in that corridor with pedestrians and bicyclists using it, and it's a substandard width, as well as when we have all industrial zoning on the east side of Great Northern, we don't have adequate turn radiuses, we don't have turn pockets. It's really trying to support the growth on the east side of Great Northern. I think you're correct that it will ultimately help improve and enable the growth that is at Woodland and Great Northern as well.
Okay. Any other questions for Amanda on the Northern District?
Chairman Paul, we have a member of the public attending remotely who I believe may want to speak. If we could check with him.
Okay.
Jeremy Grimm.
No, I'm fine. Thank you so much. Just had some questions about the right of way with the Great Northern things. They were covered.
All right. Any other questions or comments on the Northern?
What's the timing of getting the project started, the consulting project?
The intent would be to issue a notice to proceed immediately following the July 1st City Council meeting. That is one of the sort of qualifying components of the request for qualifications, is to ask the consultants, how would you approach this timeline, and kind of get their feedback on that. So that'll weigh into the selection criteria.
Just a general question on that road. So there's a lot of railroad crossings in that general area. So improving that road, do you think that's just going to put more people out there? So you're going to have more backup with traffic because of the railroads?
I don't really have an opinion on that. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. We'll continue to monitor the situation. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ellie, you're up. Sandpoint Art Commission. And good morning.
Morning. Hey, everybody.
And you as well.
Thank you. All right. So I wanted to give you a couple of quick updates. The first one is on the Sandpoint Arts, Culture, and Historical Preservation Master Plan. We did have 3 applicants for the RFP, and we have a selection panel assembled to review the applications. So we're in process on that. Just wanted to give you that update. Is there any questions on that at this point? All right, then on to the Sandpoint Silverbox Art on Loan project. The new call is open on Cafe, and it's open through June 25th. The removal of the artwork that is on the pedestals at this point will be removed by August 30th. And the new artwork, after we've gone through all the selection processes, should be installed around Labor Day weekend, probably before.
And are all those pieces for sale? Is that so we keep going around? So and the city's going to handle that transaction, or how does the general population become aware of that?
They hopefully will have a press release ahead of time that will remind the public that they are for sale, and that they can contact the city to facilitate that if they're interested.
Okay.
And at this point, we have not recommended that any of the pieces be purchased by the city. Questions?
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ellie.
Julie?
Okay, on to new business. We have the election of the chair and vice chair. Currently, I'm the chair and Kendon Perry is the vice chair. So we'll start with the chair. The nomination for chair.
I nominate Eric.
Second.
Second.
Third.
Okay. All right, so I guess I'll accept the nomination. Now we need to vote, right? Is it a roll call vote?
Yes, sir.
Roll call vote?
Commissioner Bokowie,
Yes.
Commissioner Humble,
Yes.
Commissioner Perry,
Yes?
Commissioner Sabella,
Yes.
and Commissioner Paul.
Sure, yes. All right, now, election and nomination of vice chair. Currently, it's Kendon. Need a motion for vice chair.
I renominate Kendon.
Marilyn?
I did nominate Kendon.
Okay,
Then I will second.
there's a first and second for Kendon. Roll call vote?
Commissioner Sabella,
Yes.
Commissioner Perry,
Yes.
Commissioner Humble,
Yes.
Commissioner Paul,
Yes.
and Commissioner Bokowie.
Yes.
So it's approved. Welcome back, Kendon.
Same to you, sir.
All right, so we'll now, with that election, we'll adjourn. Thank you, everybody, for your time. Next meeting will be on July, on my calendar.
July
7?
7th?
Yes, I believe it.
July 7th. Thanks, everybody.
You.